All right, what is good, ladies and gentlemen, is the Master Reviewer back again with another review. And today we are doing a review for Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. This is the sequel to the 2007 Ghost Rider film, although it does retcon some stuff from the first film. And this is interesting timing, I guess, because I think they recently announced that they are making a Ghost Rider reboot with Ryan Gosling. So this is, I guess, pretty good timing. Yeah, this just happened to be the next Marvel movie that I'm reviewing. The next one is The Avengers, so that is going to be a big one. But yeah, for now, I'll say this, just a bit of background, this is a first-time watch for me once again. I was pleasantly surprised by the first film. It was better than I was expecting. I didn't really go into it with any expectations. I thought the first film was above average, and I was kind of going into this film with thinking hopefully it'll also, I'm not expecting much, but hopefully it'll be at least as good as the first film. And yeah, we'll just get into it, starting off with the plot. So the plot of this film is that basically it's kind of stupid, honestly, because it kind of contradicts the last film, where at the end of the first Ghost Rider film, Johnny Blaze decides to take up the mantle of being the Ghost Rider. He decides to keep the curse, and then in this film, there's a big emphasis on him trying to get rid of the curse, which just completely contradicts the end of the last film, where he said he was going to keep the curse in order so that it doesn't get passed on to someone else. He will bear the burden of being the Ghost Rider. But then in this film, it's his main motivation is to get rid of the curse of the Ghost Rider. So I think that it was not that great. But yeah, in a nutshell, this film is basically, well, I never explain these recaps in a nutshell, but there is a boy, Danny, who is the son of Mephisto, or in this film specifically they call him Rorik. But yeah, it's basically Mephisto, his son, Danny. Mephisto wants to use his son in order to basically Mephisto's human body is too weak to contain his power, so he wants to do some sort of ritual to basically take over Danny's body. And so Danny's human mother, Nadia, she is basically Johnny kind of describes her as the baby mama of the devil, because yeah, she birthed Danny because she ended up, she was about to die, and in some sort of, I don't know, explosion or something like that happened in the past. And so she made a deal with Mephisto to bear his child, so that way, yeah, so Mephisto would be able to have a child to take over his body, and so that he could, his power could have a vessel, basically. So the film is basically, there is a mercenary, I think Kerrigan, that is going after Danny. And so the film is that there's another, I keep saying this film is, there is another guy, Moro, played by Idris Elba, he ends up basically recruiting Johnny in order to protect Nadia and Danny. And so the film is, I have to get to what the film actually is at this point. Johnny is, for the film, protecting both Nadia and Danny in order to get them to a sanctuary where they will be safe before, there's apparently a prophecy that is supposed to happen, and so Moro tells Johnny to take them there so that they'll be safe during the time that the prophecy is supposed to take place, so that after that time passes, they will be safe and Danny will no longer be in danger. So yeah, the film, Kerrigan goes after Nadia and Danny for a lot of the film, and so there's a few Ghost Rider sequences which are good, I will say. Although they are pretty minimal, I gotta say. So anyway, I'm just gonna kind of skip to the end of the film, where basically Johnny makes it to the sanctuary, and he does end up doing some sort of ritual or whatever to get rid of his Ghost Rider curse that Moro promised him that he would be able to get rid of. That was the deal. Basically, Johnny helps them out, and then Moro helps him get rid of the curse. So Johnny no longer has the Ghost Rider curse. But then it's revealed that the priests that are there, I guess, at the sanctuary, they say oh, it doesn't matter even if the prophecy passes, there is still going to be the danger of Mephisto getting Danny's body, which I guess that would make sense. Why is it that this, I guess it can only specifically happen during the ritual, there's a specific time that the ritual can take place, but I guess it could still occur sometime in the future. So anyway, the priests are planning to kill Danny, but I didn't mention this earlier. Kerrigan, in a Ghost Rider fight, he ended up getting defeated. He was about to die, basically, but then Mephisto shows up. He gives him powers of decay, and so, yeah, it makes him much cooler, I gotta say. And so later on, at this point, Johnny lost his powers. Danny's about to die from the priests. Kerrigan ends up showing up, killing the priests, and capturing Danny, brings him to Mephisto, and then we get into the third act of the film, where Mephisto is planning on performing the ritual, basically. Moro, Nadia, and Johnny, they end up making it to the site of the ritual. Moro takes out some guards. Johnny goes in. Basically, they don't really have a plan, to be honest, but then Danny is stated to have the same powers as Mephisto, so at this point Danny just gives back Johnny his Ghost Rider curse, and so yeah, Johnny becomes the Ghost Rider once again, but Mephisto takes Danny and like tries to get away with him. There's like a final chase sequence that happens with the Ghost Rider, and eventually it culminates in the Ghost Rider defeating Mephisto, sending him to hell, and Danny is saved. And yeah, that's basically the film. So I didn't like this plot as much as the first film. Like I say, the first film's plot was like a pretty good origin story for Johnny Blaze, and in this film, it is not really, like, again, it contradicts the events of the first film, but the fact that Johnny wants to get rid of the Ghost Rider curse, so I don't really like that aspect, as well as just the whole protecting Nadia and Danny. It's not the best, I gotta say. It's I guess kind of similar in a way to, I think, the Punisher Warzone, but I would say that film kind of did it maybe slightly better, because there was a bit in that film there was a bit less emphasis on the actual mother-daughter. I mean, in that film it was a mother-daughter pair. In this film, like the Danny and his mother. So I would give the plot probably I'm gonna go like a 2 out of 5. I don't hate the plot, but I don't like it, so I'm just giving it a 2 out of 5. Not a good plot in my opinion. In terms of the characters, Johnny Blaze, still played by Nicolas Cage, he's good. He's definitely felt better in the first film, whereas in this film, again, it's just like in the last film, it's like he was kind of dealing with he was actually like finding out about the curse itself, and there was like the relationship stuff with his, I think they were childhood friends or something like that. So I didn't care for the romance there. There's not really romance here, I gotta say, which between like Nadia and Johnny Blaze, which I'm fine with, because these romances just don't end up really leading anywhere, or I'm not usually invested in them. So, but yeah, in the last film, it was more so Johnny dealing with like him actually coming to terms with the Ghost Rider curse and him finding out about the lore and stuff. In the last film, there was also that other, I forgot the actor's name, but there was like that guy that plays the previous Ghost Rider, which I thought he was pretty good. In this film, there is, again, so Johnny Blaze is fine, just not as good as this film. I don't really care for Danny or Nadia at all. They recast Mephisto, where in the last film, Mephisto didn't really play a big role, but in this film, he is like actually the main antagonist, I would say, and he feels pretty weak compared to, like, this character is supposed to be like extremely strong, but the whole thing with him in this film is that his body, it's like too old to the point where he can't really be as powerful as he potentially could be, so he needs a new vessel. So yeah, Mephisto wasn't really great. I did like Kerrigan. Like, at first he was just this basic mercenary, so it wasn't that interesting, but then once he does kind of die and then get revived by Mephisto and he gets the decaying powers, I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't like the priests. Let's see here, Moro, I would say was good. I would say fine. He was all right. Just like this guy that was trying to help out all the parties involved. Basically, he was trying to help out Johnny. He was trying to help out Danny and Nadia, and just overall fine character, I would say. Yeah, overall the characters, I would give probably just a. I don't really love any of them. I'm just gonna go like a. But they're not like bad. Like, there are redeeming characters, I guess. But overall, I'm just gonna go like a 5 out of 10. I would say fine characters, but not good, not bad, not great. Honestly, I don't usually give anything lower than a 5 for the characters, I feel like. But I don't know. Like, Nicolas Cage still does a good job. Idris Elba does a good job. The guy that played Kerrigan when he's like decayed and stuff, he was, I guess, somewhat fine. But yeah, honestly, I'm thinking maybe even I would give a bit lower. Maybe I should be a bit harsher with the characters, because yeah, a lot of the characters just aren't really that great. So I am going to be harsh with that. I usually just give like a 5 out of 10 for the characters. I'm just going to go overall. I think even with the performances of Nicolas Cage and Idris Elba, like Johnny Blaze and Moro, their characters, I feel like it's still not enough to redeem the overall cast of characters, which I would say they are not really that good. So I'm going to go 4.5 for the characters. In terms of the settings, there are some desert areas, which is fine when you actually have like the Ghost Rider chase sequences. They're not terrible. There's the sanctuary I didn't like. The final ritual area, not really that great. And yeah, just overall not really any too good. Like, they're on the road a lot, I would say, in this film. And just overall the settings, I don't really like them that much. So I'm just gonna get the score sheet out for this. I'm going to go with like 4 to 10. Bad settings, didn't like them that much. In terms of the action, this is really the highlight of these films, where I do think when you actually do have Ghost Rider action, it does look pretty cool, I would say. And I would say that this film was, I'm not sure if it's better than the last film. It has been a bit of a while since I've seen the last film. I think it's been like 3 months by now. But yeah, I would say that this film still has like some cool action when you actually do have Johnny as the Ghost Rider. But in this film, there's like maybe 3 action sequences in total, like the beginning one, the middle one, and the final. Like, there's the beginning one where Johnny initially like meets Nadia and Danny, as well as Kerrigan. There's the middle one where it's like he operates the crane with like the giant saw, which I thought that was pretty cool, like a flaming crane action sequence. And then there's the final one with like the chase sequence, I guess. So not really too much Ghost Rider action, but the amount of Ghost Rider action that we do get, I would say that it's good. I'm going to say it's like I'm just going to give it a 6.5. I'm going to be a bit harsh because it's good, it's cool. It's not like the most creative, I would say, but it's just like this character is like very much invincible, can't really take damage to bullets and stuff. The chain was very, very cool, I would say. It didn't feel like there was as much like motorcycle action as it feels like the first film had a bit more motorcycle action, whereas in this film it does feel like a lot of the action sequences do involve just the Ghost Rider himself like fighting, which is fine because he is still a cool character to watch fight, but I did like it a bit more in the first film where maybe he actually utilized the bike a bit more, it felt like, whereas in this film it feels like only towards the end in the final action sequence he utilizes the motorcycle. So in terms of the worst thing, let's see here, the worst thing, I'm just going to probably, I don't know, there's a lot of things I could say that was not that great, but I think I will probably reuse the plot. I could reuse, I don't know, I guess Danny I didn't like, Nadia I didn't like, Mephisto I didn't like a lot of the prominent characters I just didn't really care for at all. So yeah, I would say that those, maybe I should change the score of the character, I don't know, because they're still like, again, it gets balanced out by like some other characters which are better, so I don't want to lower the character score anymore. So I could go with the plot, which I gave a 2 out of 5. I guess I could reuse the score for the settings, which I gave a, I don't know, I think I'm just going to reuse I'm trying to think, is there anything like really specific that I really just hated? And I guess Mephisto, like he as a villain, like I don't know, Danny I also didn't like. He felt like a plot device for most of the film. There was like no bonding with Johnny. Like he has this like obligation he feels like to protect Danny and Nadia, but it's like there's barely any like bonding between them. There's like one sequence maybe where they're on the road, kind of Johnny and Danny, they're like riding a motorcycle together. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like specifically Mephisto, Nadia, and Danny, those characters specifically, I just really did not care for, and I would say that they were, yeah, I don't know, bad. I guess pretty bad. Yeah, I'm going to go pretty bad, I'm going to say, for their characters, because, yeah, I just really did not care for their characters at all. So 3.5 for Mephisto, Nadia, and Danny, I'm going to say. In terms of the best thing, I'm going to probably just reuse the score for, I guess, reuse the score for the action, 6.5, because, yeah, this film has good action, I would say, and anytime that you do actually have the Ghost Rider action, it's still cool to watch, I would say. Any extra notes I did not already mention? There was some weird editing, definitely like some weird camera angle shots, a lot of like weird cuts and stuff. There was like certain sequences where it's like there was characters with an entire black or white background, and it just felt like really kind of weird editing. It's not to the point where it's like as annoying as something like Hulk 2003, I think it was. But yeah, this film's editing is definitely not great. I think just Columbia Pictures, I think they're the ones that also, maybe they were the ones that did the Hulk 2003 film, I'm not sure, but I don't know, it might be the studio, it might just be that this film specifically, but yeah, the editing I did not really like either in this film, so yeah, that's all the notes, so I'm going to do the calculations, so King Crimson. Alright, so it ends up coming out to about a 5 out of 10, which is a bit higher than I would have expected, but yeah, I'm going to give it definitely lower than that. I would give this probably between like a 4 to a 4.5. I thought it was between bad and not good, and I think I don't know if I should give a concrete score. I think I'll just call it between a 4 to a 4.5. I thought it was between bad and between not good and bad, I would say. And yeah, this definitely just, the first film was definitely a lot better, I would say. And hopefully the Ryan Gosling reboot, hopefully that one will be more of a success. And I think Marvel, though, they like with the reboots, I think they usually, eventually they get it right. Like a lot of the earlier films, I don't know, for Fantastic Four, I heard that, I didn't see the newest film yet, but I did hear that like the newest one was like, I think one of the better ones, I would say, from like the not from what I would say, from what I've heard people say. So I think Marvel is capable of doing like reboots well. So hopefully the Ryan Gosling reboot will be better. And yeah, overall, so a 4 to a 4.5, just not, I don't know, just definitely just not as good as the original film. And so yeah, 4 to 4.5 between bad and not good. So yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it. So if you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, manga, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I will maybe possibly check it out. With that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. So let's leave it at that.